So in the last video, we found the sine, cosine, and tangent of 60 degrees. Now, that took a while, very time consuming. So what we do is we end up memorizing special angles. All right, we're going to end up memorizing this chart right here. Notice that we have degree measures at the top, 0, 30, 45, 60, and 90. And their corresponding radian measures, 0 radians, pi over 6, pi over 4, pi over 3, and pi over 2 radians, okay? So you just need to memorize this part right here. I don't have a special technique for that or a special trick for that. And then put sine, cosine, and tangent right here, okay? And I'm going to show you a really quick way to memorize these right here, these values. So you got to memorize the top, and then the order these go in. Then we'll have a really quick way. As you can see, the sine of 60 degrees was square root of 3 over 2, which is what we came up with. Cosine of 60 degrees was a half, and so forth. All right, but anyway, the quick way to memorize this chart is think of this as square root of 0 over 2, square root of 1 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, square root of 4 over 2. So if I start out here, the square root of 0 over 2, let me get some scratch paper and show you. If I start out with this, square root of 0 over 2, what does that simplify to? 0 over 2, which is 0. Square root of 0 over 2 is 0 over 2, which is 0. So this chart starts out square root of 0 over 2, which is 0. And then next we have the square root of 1 over 2. Go off to the side and do some scratch work. Square root of 1 over 2. Well, the square root of 1 is what? 1, so that's just 1/2. So 1/2 goes here. Then this one is the square root of 2 over 2, which I cannot simplify. And next, well, you guessed it, square root of 3 over 2, which cannot be simplified. And over here will be the square root of 4 over 2. But the square root of 4 over 2 can be simplified. Square root of 4 is 2. Over 2, 2 over 2 is a value of 1. So how does this run? If you have your chart in the right order, square root of 0 over 2, square root of 1 over 2, square root of 2 over 2, square root of 3 over 2, square root of 4 over 2. Now what about for your cosine? Well, it just goes backwards. So cosine of 0 will be this value. Then this value goes next, square root of 3 over 2. And this value goes next, square root of 2 over 2. That value goes next, a half, and this value goes next. So you run this thing backwards for the cosine. Now how about for the tangent? I'm going to show you an identity here that they don't show you till a little later in your book. But tangent of theta is equal to the sine of theta over cosine of theta. So if that's the case, the tangent at 0 degrees is the sine of 0 degrees over the cosine of 0 degrees. So that'd be 0 over 1, which is 0. How about for tangent of 30? It's just the sine over the cosine value. So the sine is 1/2. Cosine value is square root of 3 over 2. Well, that's 1/2 times the reciprocal. So what does that give me? 1 over square root of 3? But if you rationalize that, what does that give you? Square root of 3 over 3. So I'm going to put that here, square root of 3 over 3. How about at 45 or pi over 4 radians? If you put sine over cosine, wouldn't that just be 1? How about at 60? Sine over cosine. Let's do this one in our head. So we have square root of 3 over 2 over 1/2 is times the reciprocal, and the 2's will divide out. So that just gives you square root of 3. And what about sine over cosine here? What's 1 over 0? What's 0 in the denominator? Undefined. There we go. There's your quick way of learning this chart right here.